What happens when one private key controls wallet transaction authority? The wallet doesn't hold the coin. The custody decision follows the key, not the app. Stick with me for the one security request that ends the conversation immediately.
Hey, this is Jasmine. Start with the object, not the slogan. A crypto asset is an entry on a distributed ledger. The wallet is the credential system used to reach it. In self-custody, you control the keys.
I'm Chris. Step 1 is naming the custodian. Self-custody means the individual controls the key. Third-party custody means a provider controls the transaction path.
Self-custody removes an intermediary and the customer service reset people expect. Third-party custody adds provider systems and written terms.
Convenience and control answer separate questions. My first objection is to the word safer. Safer from what? A third party can fail or freeze withdrawals. A person can lose credentials, approve a bad transfer, or fall for phishing.
And convenience can hide that movement. Look at the keys. The analogy is limited, but the control question is exact. Who can authorize the door to open? A platform login and a wallet password do different jobs. So do a private key and a seed phrase. A physical key also proves the limit of the metaphor. A blockchain transaction is not undone by changing the lock after the authorization has already been used.
Investor.gov says a wallet stores keys or passcodes, not crypto assets. That settles it. The app isn't proof of transaction authority or responsibility.
The two columns don't need a winner badge. Self-custody offers direct key control and personal duties. Exchange custody adds an intermediary and provider terms.
Jasmine, choose the breakdown you can prepare for. Write the entry, contingency, and help desk path before money moves.
Last episode separated a tax strategy from its trade-off. Here, separate the custody slogan from the actual duties.
Fair point and one boundary. Someone who can't explain a private key, a seed phrase, and the provider's terms isn't ready to compare the roots. Turn that comparison into a threat model. Name the event first, then ask which setup reduces it and which new duty appears. The same feature can protect against one event while making another more consequential.
That leaves one personal question. Which risk is harder to manage, losing seed material or depending on a company?
Keep that question open. Coming up, the private key reset problem changes the comparison. Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it. Professor Kowalski, put private keys ahead of the slogan for us.
One correction first. The private key isn't merely a login secret. It authorizes transactions, and Investor.gov says it can't be changed or replaced after creation.
Write the recovery route before testing it. Who creates the seed phrase, where is it protected, and who can reach it if the device fails?
I still resist treating self-custody as a default upgrade. Direct control without a continuity plan is a weak point with better branding.
The chain is simple. No, simple in order, not consequence. A public address receives. The private key authorizes. A seed phrase may restore the wallet. Restore authority, not reverse a transfer. Expose the last two and someone else may control it.
In this case, exactly. A backup isn't safe because it exists. It must remain secret and accurate. It also must be retrievable and protected from the fire, theft, or device loss that threatens the original. Separate confidentiality from availability. A secret nobody can locate may fail its owner. A copy that every helper can locate may fail in the opposite direction. The plan has to survive both tests without turning convenience into exposure.
No second root means permanent loss risk. One exposed copy means theft risk. Two copies in one drawer are still one lost domain.
The exact storage design is Erica's lane. I'd turn the decimals into confetti. My question is whether the viewer can protect the secret and regain control years from now. That is a long-term operating question, not a setup night confidence test. The answer should still work after a move or device replacement.
One disclosed seed phrase can collapse the security boundary. Never give it to supposed support.
That is the checklist boundary. Verify the wallet source. Record re-entry steps without putting the secret in a connected note. Test safely.
A secure archive is useful only if the authorized person can find it and an unauthorized person cannot. Security and recoverability pull in opposite directions, so the plan has to manage both.
What if the device is called safe, so the seed phrase sits beside it?
Then the copy defeats the separation. The device and phrase are separate re-entry paths. One theft or fire shouldn't reach both.
Repeat it, repeat it. The copy needs a separate threat model, not just a separate envelope.
The verdict isn't self-custody for everyone. Don't take it on until you can explain authorization, continuity, and loss. Next, the provider route gets the same stress test.
Third-party custody adds a company between the user and transaction authority. The clean-looking balance is a service record, not proof that every breakdown path is covered.
Watch the infrastructure run. Someone operates the servers and security controls. Someone also owns the withdrawal system and support queue. That service can be useful. It's also a dependency.
Investor.gov says third-party custodians manage private keys. Its custody terms should explain safeguards, other custodians, and what happens if one fails. My delayed objection stays alive. Convenience has value for someone who can't maintain self-custody safely. A login can, no, forget the screen. The custody terms answer who owns an outage, what is insured, or when withdrawals can pause.
Erica, step 1 is opening the customer agreement and custody disclosure. Add the fee schedule and terms on commingling. Save the transfer policy, official contact route, and current copies before an emergency.
Ask 3 things. Can the provider lend or commingle customer assets? Does another company hold custody? A balanced display can't reveal the arrangement.
Marcus is 38 and new to crypto. He is comparing where to hold a hypothetical $1,200. He can tolerate price movement, but not losing use for months. He wants occasional transfers rather than constant trading. That makes withdrawal terms, provider collapse language, and record exports part of his risk capacity. His comparison therefore starts with the service documents rather than a price chart. A short delay might be tolerable. An undefined lockout path is a different decision.
Case 1 is Marcus managing the keys himself. The table asks about daily use and regain control capability. It also asks about counterparty exposure and record export. Each row needs an answer from the exact service or wallet setup. The useful answer is specific enough to save. Record the document date and the section that controls the result, because a remembered marketing summary is not evidence.
Does that test hold if Marcus leaves the asset with a provider? The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation draws a boundary. Crypto assets aren't insured deposits. Its insurance doesn't protect a non-bank crypto company's default or bankruptcy.
It holds. The invariant is the document trail. The changed condition is who controls the keys. Fair point, and this is where the slogan becomes expensive. A bank partner, insurance logo, or registration claim may describe one narrow relationship. It doesn't automatically make the crypto balance whole.
The reusable rule is to read the loss path before choosing the convenience. The current CFTC record gives a real anchor. In June 2026, the agency resolved its Celsius founder case after alleging misrepresentations about safety and a platform that pooled customer assets before bankruptcy.
The lesson is narrow: save the evidence before service fails.
A viewer doesn't need to predict a provider collapse. The useful preparation is having the failure terms and statements already saved. Keep transaction exports and an independent contact route with them.
A platform can be operationally convenient and still require scrutiny. Those statements can coexist. Call that the paper trail rule. Save the evidence before the service is under stress.
Compare the written breakdown path. If custody or fee answers are missing, stop and ask.
That document test leaves one question. If hardware moves the key offline, what problem did it solve, and which new problems did it create?
Professor Kowalski is back with us. Cover the connected wallet fork, hardware, software, and phishing.
Hardware doesn't make a private key invincible. It reduces internet exposure but adds physical loss, setup, and supply chain questions. The device is only one part of the system. Purchase source and initialization matter, so do current firmware instructions and the separate material that can recreate authority after physical loss.
Look inside the category, not a brand. A cold hardware wallet is one offline device in a larger authorization process. The seed phrase may matter more than the casing.
I can compare dumplings of any nation by price. I won't rank wallets by casing. Software adds device, operating system, and message exposure to the authorization path. The useful comparison follows each signing step. Ask what touches the internet and what the person must independently verify before approval.
Hot and cold describe connectivity, not goodness. Investor.gov says hot wallets are convenient but exposed online. Cold devices reduce that exposure. No, online exposure only. They can still be lost or damaged.
So a person can solve online exposure and accidentally create a continuity disaster.
Yes, different risk, not zero risk. I don't know whether a particular wallet fits a viewer. Verify its current documentation, then test re-entry against the person's actual capability.
Now the phishing boundary. A legitimate support process never needs the user to surrender the private key or seed phrase. A message can copy logos, names, and urgency. It can't make that request safe. The rule survives a convincing imitation. A perfect logo still cannot turn disclosure of the signing secret into a legitimate troubleshooting step. Independent contact breaks the attacker's chosen path. Jasmine, what breaks the imitation?
The number in the alert. No, that repeats the attacker's path. Find the provider's official route independently, then verify whether the alert is real.
The message arrives by email or text. It may also come through social media or a search result. The channel changes. The test does never hand over the secret that can authorize or restore the wallet.
The Federal Trade Commission adds the consequence. A wrong address transfer or lost wallet password may leave no remedy, so may a compromised wallet or failed exchange.
If you're half listening, never share a seed phrase or private key. End contact and verify independently.
But what about a support person who asks for a screenshot of the wallet?
Ask first, is the image needed at all? Partial answer, hide balances and codes before sharing anything.
I'm asking again, is the image needed at all? Minimize disclosure, verify the request, and never expose credentials.
Chris wins the screenshot argument narrowly. Urgency isn't authentication, and seed material is never a troubleshooting prop.
Professor Kowalski, thank you. That closes the plinth. Hardware changes exposure. Planning and verification decide whether the change helps.
A transfer changes custody immediately, but it doesn't automatically create a taxable sale. The records still need to show what moved and when. They should identify the wallets or accounts and the fee paid.
My record should be like my grilled chicken, proudly bland and repeatable. Save the confirmation transaction identifier, date, and time. Add units, addresses, network fee, and provider export. A transaction identifier helps reconnect the event later. The surrounding note explains why it moved and which two accounts belong to the same taxpayer.
IRS Digital Asset FAQ 81 says a transfer between a taxpayer's own wallets is generally non-taxable. Digital assets used or withheld for transaction fees are the exception.
Chris's chicken took one exit. Back to the transfer. Custody and tax should not collapse into one. Moving an asset can change control and fees even when it isn't a sale between different owners.
Marcus still has the hypothetical $1,200 from Scene 3. Before moving it, he verifies the asset and destination address. He also checks the compatible network, withdrawal fee, and receiving wallet support. Preserve each confirmation.
The Federal Trade Commission warns that a wrong address crypto transfer may leave no remedy. A small test can limit exposure when the network supports it, but it can't prove later conditions.
Chris, I wanted one universal rule. There isn't one. Some networks or services impose minimums or fees that change the usefulness of a test. The universal part is pause, independently verify, and understand the exact process.
Use 5 checks. Verify the asset and address. Confirm the network and fee. Send a bounded test if appropriate, then preserve both sides of the record.
My card catalog rule applies. Label the source before filing. The IRS treats digital assets as property and requires records that support tax return positions. Keep receipts, exchanges, transfers, and fair market value.
The network record, no, start with the missing context. An exchange export can be useful, but it isn't the whole archive. Self-custody may scatter evidence across wallets and explorers. Purchase records and provider confirmations add more pieces. A clean history later depends on a deliberate history now. A network record can document movement without preserving purchase context or the purpose of the move. The personal archive supplies that missing context. That is why saving only a screenshot or only an exchange export can leave an incomplete trail.
Do not wait for tax season to rebuild fees and basis from memory minus your. Record it when it happens. The calculator is for reconciliation, not a personal tax estimate.
Chris's paper trail rule sends tax questions to current IRS guidance and a qualified professional.
Marcus's $1,200 example closes the loop. The transfer changes authorization, breakdown paths, and the records he must preserve.
My redirect is simple. Don't ask which wallet is best until you can ask which responsibility is yours. Product rankings age. The custody map survives the next interface redesign. Which responsibility is yours? Ask that question before comparing interface features. It keeps the conversation centered on work the person must perform after the purchase.
My verdict. An exchange can fit managed service use. Self-custody can fit someone prepared to manage credentials and regain control. A split arrangement adds jobs and records.
I concede safer needed a qualifier. The better route has loss modes the person can identify and reduce without mistaking convenience for protection. The one line to carry. Custody is a recovery plan wearing a product label. Competence is not a personality label. It is a set of repeatable actions that can be written, tested, and reviewed when circumstances change.
Like this lesson and subscribe to Investing Explained for the next practical crypto risk check. I choose the setup whose contingency duties I can perform. Which custody breakdown are you prepared to manage? Protect the contingency path, and I will see you next time.